Hi, my name is Adam Helbling. I'm 27 years old, and in the fall of 2008, I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder. So this is the story of how I got there, and then it's the story of life before, and then life after, and talking a little bit about the future. But anyways, I came, through high school. I was very involved, and that involvement led to a full ride scholarship to the Ohio State University. And it was there that I continued my involvement, and I was involved in scholarship programs and all different things, and I was surrounded by very, highly motivated people that pushed me to succeed, pushed me to get more involved. And that first year, I was the ideal student. The second year, I made a series of bad decisions. I partied too much, and over the next few years, things just got worse and worse. And up until, let's say, 2008 in the spring, I went through probably a 3-month period where I was severely depressed. And this wasn't the first time in my life, and this was a sign, a manic low, where there really was no reason for the depression. I had a lot of things going for me, and everybody could tell me that, but nobody could snap me out of it. And this happened a few different times in my life. Well, what happened was I had applied for an honorary. It was called the Sphinx Senior Class Honorary. And at Ohio State, they select 24 students out of the senior class, and it's a large university, so it's out of about 10,000 people. So this is the highest honor that can be accorded a student at Ohio State. So, once I was accepted, I felt, the anxiety slipped away. I slipped out of the depression, and I went into this, high state of euphoria. That summer, I practiced water skiing and practice, and then at the end of the summer, I won the state championship for slalom skiing for Ohio. And that's when the euphoria really peaked, and that was when, those signs of a manic episode really started to appear. So I started to make a series of bad decisions, worse than before, and with those, excessive spending, if you look at the list, everything on the list I did. That lasted about 2 months, and at one point I looked at everything I had done, and I became so overwhelmed that over the course of 6 days, I didn't sleep. And after 3.5 days without sleep, you can go into a psychotic break, but I'd gone 6 days without sleep. So on the 6th day, I started to get all these signs, and these signs were so obvious to me. I thought they were signs from God, and I couldn't believe that nobody else was seeing these. And by the end of the day, I ultimately believed that I was Jesus Christ. So the next day, I woke up in the psych ward at Akron General near my hometown of Stowe, Ohio, and it was there that I would spend the next 2.5 weeks believing that I was Jesus Christ, and it was there that I was diagnosed with bipolar 1 disorder. So what snapped me out of it, they got me on medications, which I would take religiously over the course of the next 2 years. And after the psych ward, I went through a partial rehabilitation program with psychologists and psychiatrists, participated in group therapy, which I thought was very beneficial to me because, I saw people with various problems, not just bipolar, but other problems where I didn't feel alone. I didn't feel like I had all the problems in the world. So I came back to Ohio State in the spring, ready to finish my degree in civil engineering, and I was also focused on building up the water ski team. And this was about a 5-year process, and it was always a dream of mine to build us into a national contender. So basically I built us up from nothing, and in about 2 years after the psych ward, we competed for the national championship, and we won that national championship in Austin, Texas. So the euphoria kicked in again, and about 3 months later, in January 2011, I went off my medications for 5 days. And the reason, it was simple. Somebody told me that one of my medications was linked to diabetes, and I got a creeping numbness in my feet, which is a sign of diabetes. So just that was enough to scare me away from medications, and within 5 days, I started to get signs once again. So I started to go into that manic state, and I had a full-blown manic episode. And at 3:30 in the morning on January 22nd, 2011, I took off on a drive that would forever change my life. So there was about 5 inches of snow on the ground. It was, negative temperatures outside, not ideal to be driving. So I left Columbus and started driving west. I got into Indiana and I blew a flat tire. My car spun around backwards, went about 5 seconds in reverse, and then spun straight back around. And when that happened, people would be scared, but I was actually laughing. I felt invincible. I almost felt like God was in the car with me, controlling the car. And I felt like nothing could touch me. So I actually stopped to change my tire, couldn't find the wrench, couldn't find my wallet, didn't have my cell phone. So basically I had no other option rather than to just keep driving. So I started following signs west, and I thought that I was on my way to California. And in 2008, before the psych ward, I had stayed in a mansion there. And I thought I was on my way to this mansion to throw a huge party for the second coming of Jesus Christ. So I'm driving, flying through back roads, following signs west, and then I get on the highway and I put the pedal to the floor. Last thing I remember, I look up in my rearview mirror and I see police lights back in the distance. And then a song comes on over the radio, and it's talking about putting your hands up in the air. So I open my sunroof, put both hands up in the air, and flick off the police, and that's when everything went black. And that was the start of a whole new chapter in my life. So here's what happened, and obviously I don't remember this. I told you I blacked out, but I flipped my car 5 times front over front. So not sideways, but actually front over front, and I landed upside down in a field in the snow. And the police were right there, which was very fortunate because they were to pull me from the car, and they actually asked me my name, and I don't remember this, but I said that I am Jesus Christ. And then a few minutes later after that, I had 2 collapsed lungs, so I actually died at the scene, and paramedics arrived and they resuscitated me. So I'm very lucky to be alive. And the next day, my next memory is I woke up in the ICU and couldn't even breathe on my own, had a breathing tube shoved down my throat, and I was surrounded by my family. And the first thing I noticed was I couldn't move or feel my legs. So this is me now. I actually broke my neck at C6 and C7 and suffered a spinal cord injury. So I'm now paralyzed from the chest down. I've used my right hand, don't have use of my left hand. But anyways, I obviously learned my lesson the hard way. But I went from, I was in that manic state. The bipolar wasn't being treated when I was in the ICU. So the manic episode continued for about a month and a half. And the good thing about that was that I was extremely positive. I was euphoric, I was manic, I believed that I was Jesus Christ. So I thought for sure that I was going to walk again. But once that wore off, I went into, a state of depression. And all I could think about was, what if I never walk again? What if I get back to, I'm never going to water ski again. I'm never going to, get back to those physical passions that I had. So that first year I was very depressed. It was very hard. And it wasn't until the end of the first year that I got a copy of a voice recognition software called Dragon so I could type. And I started sharing my experience on Facebook, and people were really moved by my story, and they were telling me that I completely changed their perspective and outlook on life, and that they wouldn't take the little things in life for granted. So I realized that I had this powerful story and that I could help people in a really, impactful way. So that's when I started to snap out of the depression. I started to look forward and wanted to get back down to Ohio State. So, I moved back down there and started a therapy program, and that was supposed to teach me how to walk again. But after about 3 months, I realized that probably wasn't going to happen. So that was when I realized, I need to focus on if I don't walk again, I'm going to be happy. If I do walk again, that'd be great. But I started to move forward. So I had 5 classes left to finish my degree in civil engineering. Graduated in June 2012. I continued to write, but I also started motivational speaking. And I found that I got a bigger thrill out of motivational speaking than water skiing ever did for me. So I really found myself through my injury, and it was caused by bipolar, and I don't really wish this on anybody, but I can honestly say now that I'm happier than I've ever been in my entire life. And the proudest accomplishment has happened since my accident, and that was when I published a book, and this is it here. I published it in February, and it's titled, Well, I Guess I'm Not Jesus. And it's kind of a funny title, but it's true. The fact, thinking all those things, going off my meds, and I ended up, I'm not Jesus, so I had all this series of bad decisions, and that's what this led to. So what I want to tell you is you need to take your medications, and bipolar is completely manageable. I learned my lesson the hard way, and I don't skip a day with my medications, so you shouldn't either. So I haven't had any signs of a manic episode. If anything, my mood changes, anything, I call my psychiatrist right away. We adjust my medications. So yes, it is manageable. Yes, you can live with it, and I'm living a better, more fulfilling life, even though, I don't really have the physical capabilities that I did before. But I'm loving everything, and I have a great family, I have a great support system, and I've really realized what is truly important in life, and kind of, my accident was kind of a blessing in a way. So I wish you the best, and just roll with whatever life throws at you. You never know, something traumatic can make you stronger, it can make you appreciate things more, and I don't wish this on anybody, but to me it was a blessing, and I wish you all the best. So thanks for listening to my story, and best of luck to you. And lastly, if you would like to talk to me, I'm open to talk about anything. So you go to my website, it's Adam Helbling. Helbling is spelled Helbling. So adamhelbling.com. Click contact, that'll send me an email, and I'll get back to you right away. Talk over the phone, we can, I'm willing to talk about anything. So once again, best of luck to you, and I'll be here for you if you need it. Thank you.